All right. Good evening, John. How you doing today?
Doing good, doing good.
Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Ooh, that's interesting. Let's see. Let's see. I'm John Sekyere. That's what the public knows me. So I'm a photographer. I'm a systems engineer. So I guess photographer by night, systems engineer by day.
Good to know. Thank you. How did you How did you become a photographer?
Wow, the journey for photography started, let's say, about 18 years ago. So I worked at CVS. That's when I used to have the 35 millimeter, the flash one, the disposable cameras. So I worked at CVS as a photo tech. So I worked through my high school years and into my college years. So let's say when I finished college 2007, that was like the last of that end. Fast forward years later, let's say 2014 in church. So I was part of the media team. So the church had this old Canon camera. So I think that's when Facebook had started, this whole promotion of church stuff. Took some pictures. It wasn't going well. I told my pastor, in order for us to get good pictures, we need to buy a camera. So church people, right? Well, how much do you have to spend? $200? I said, no, man. At least about $1,500. Then my pastor said, hey, hold on, John. We need to add it to the budget. We'll get back to you. Nothing happened. But I realized, you know what, in order to get good stuff, I have to do something. So
Gotcha.
took my wife's credit card, went to Best Buy, swiped it. Bought my first, it was a Canon, I want to say, it was a 660D. Back then it was like 1500.
Okay.
So I took some pictures and I realized there's a difference.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I started taking pictures of church people, right?
Right.
After church, oh, John, can you take a picture? I realized people are coming to me. I said, you know what, maybe I can make some money from this. I need to sit down and do some research.
Right.
So fast forward, I was just doing stuff for church. It was fun. And then
Okay.
later on, I think when my daughter was born, I decided to actually get into photography. And because I couldn't get a second job because I was doing church stuff.
Okay.
So I need to find a way to actually make money from the people asking me for the service.
Gotcha.
So that's how it happened, yeah.
Interesting way to get in there. So, what would you say is how does a person get into photography? Is it like, I know from your story, it doesn't seem like any extra education is really needed. Experience is all it takes.
Yeah.
But I think there's other people too that go through the college route or some extra class somewhere somehow. What do you think?
So that's true. I would say yes and no. Yes, as in those who actually go to school to formally learn photography. So to me, I think it's more from like an artistic point of view versus those who pick up the passion somewhere in life, and then they are more passion driven. So they have those who want to learn photography, so they go to, I don't know, is it ITT Tech or one of these schools, and they learn, photography from that point of view. But I think for those who are passionate, depending on what's driving you, when you pick up YouTube, you can spend hours. You're just trying to perfect that skill. And it's try and error till you figure it out. So yes, you can go the school route, or you can school of YouTube. That's what I did.
Right.
Yeah.
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
Okay. So you saying your opinion is not very necessary to go to school. There's other ways you can learn, on your
Yeah.
own.
I mean,
Okay.
these days you can learn whatever you want to learn from YouTube, but I think it all depends on what's driving you and what you're looking for.
In your opinion, which is better?
Whew, that's a good one. Well, I can only speak from the YouTube experience. So I'm talking about hours.
Okay.
I don't even know how much hours, but I still do every once in a while.
Right.
I would say, depending on what you're trying to do. I mean, most people start from portrait, right? So I say, do the basics, figure things out, and then find somebody that you like their tutorials, and then you just kind of stick from there. And then as you grow, it will come naturally.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. The big question. How does a photographer manage to get into shooting weddings? Is it an easy path? Anything special? Does it come with luck? Break it down for us.
Man, that's interesting. Well, from my experience, before I get into wedding photography, and the goal was to be a wedding photographer.
Okay.
But you just can't just get into wedding photography.
Well, I know that.
Either so let's take a step back. You have to at least know something about photography first, because anybody who's willing to quote unquote take you on, they might not have time to be talking to. I mean, they'll talk to you, but on wedding day, there's so much going on.
Right.
So for people to actually invest in you, there has to be something about you that makes them want to actually do so.
Right.
So for example, when I got into photography, I had the church. So I was able to
Okay.
basically do my portrait photography, taking pictures of people in church, event photography, which is doing sermons. So I was able to learn a lot of the basic stuff in church.
Okay.
So when people started asking me, "Oh, John, can you take a picture of me?" It was kind of easy because I have an idea, right?
Got you.
And then small church events. So all those little things kind of helped me. So when I started doing maybe like a little baby shower or naming ceremony, even funny enough, funerals.
Right.
I mean, people like, John, you educated guy. What are you doing here? And back then, you know me, John, young boss. It's like, no, you. But see, the funny thing is, I knew what the goal was, so
Right.
it didn't matter what I was doing.
Right.
I was thankful for the opportunity to actually learn.
Exactly.
So I went through the baby shower, the naming ceremonies, all the little things you can think of. And then finally, when I felt like I was somewhat ready, I got my first opportunity to shoot like a simple marriage ceremony. So I guess the passion showed because I was sitting on the floor, squatting. I mean, I was doing all kinds of stuff to get the shot.
Exactly.
The guy was like, "Hey, child, this guy is very, very, he really is into what he's doing."
Right.
And eventually, I guess people saw what I was doing, and little by little, I was getting little calls from here and there. And my first wedding came from, I forgot, some online stuff.
Okay.
I showed up. It wasn't even about the money, honestly.
Right.
I just wanted the experience. And then, so I got different experience at the very first year.
Right.
So I guess when I felt like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing, then you started like, putting a little price in here and then, testing the waters. Then there was one guy, Dotu. I wanted to go, he used to do an internship. So I called Dotu, but, at that time he was so busy, he probably, who's this guy,
All right.
So I went on the internet and I picked 5 people that I liked their work in general. So I studied their work, tried to implement some of the styles, and little by little, you do one event, good turnout, they liked the pictures, then they started making recommendations. So I guess when I broke forth, if even that's the word, I already had all the ground experience. And
Gotcha.
the rest is history, 6 years later. So.
Okay. It sounds like a pretty tough field to get into, but nobody really wants to give their wedding to somebody whom they can't trust, they don't know. So you definitely have to build some foundation for yourself, seems like.
I think, to me, it's very personal,
Okay.
I think if you imagine how much people spend on wedding day, right? For them to trust you with basically everything they're spending, they are trusting you to basically capture the moment. So when they go back and sit down, I mean, you can imagine.
Of course.
If somebody's even spending $50,000, $20,000, however much they're spending, that's a lot of money.
It is.
So they have to ask themselves, do I trust this guy to? And it's not just pictures. A lot of people don't understand. It's not just you grabbing the pictures and camera and just running around and taking pictures. There's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
There are times I have to be the comedian.
Right.
I have to crack jokes where people will laugh.
Exactly.
There are times I have to be like the middle guy.
Right.
I have to like try to get people to, hey, my friend, don't stop fighting and arguing. I mean, it's a lot that goes on before you actually click the shutter.
Right.
So it goes beyond that. Yeah.
Got you. Would you say wedding photography is more lucrative than other forms of photography? What's your take on that?
So it's a 50-50 thing, right?
Okay.
So for example, here in the DMV area, the East Coast, we love pictures. So most people like, there's big weddings and the plush and luxury weddings, right? And then if you look at a portrait photographer, maybe somebody in LA or something, right? Maybe it's big time, It all depends on, I believe it depends on where you are.
Okay.
That's how I look at it, yeah.
Okay. I know you mentioned a little bit about how you got to your first gig and whatnot, but generally, how does a person find gigs? Like you said, you get a lot of recommendations. Is that a primary way?
So, I mean, you have the users, right? You have the weddingwire.com. You have all these websites that you have to sign up and create a portfolio. And then you're hoping the potential clients will go up there and look at your portfolio and whatever it is that will convince them to even reach out to you.
Right.
Meanwhile, it's maybe you plus other, I don't know, however many people, right? Then these websites use how much you're paying to quote unquote put you on the front page. But how do you even know if it's true or not, right? If Wedding Wire tells me, okay, John, pay me $1,000 for 6 months and I'll keep you at the first 5 pages, okay? You pay that amount. When you log in, you see yourself. But what guarantees you that the client that's going to show up is going to search for you?
Right.
So that means, number one, you have to know your clients, honestly.
Right.
So for me, I've tried all the avenues. I've done the Wedding Wire. I've done the Yellow Pages. I mean, trust me. I've done everything you can imagine until I figure out what works for me.
Okay, I got
So
you.
yeah.
I got you. That's good. Good insight. So, what is there any challenges in the wedding business? Would you say is it like cancellations, lawsuits, irate customers, people getting in front of you? What are your challenges that
Whew.
you've faced?
There's a lot of challenges. I mean, honestly, so put it this way: you are dealing more with people versus taking pictures. That's how I look at it. And as human beings, you know how we are, right? Today, somebody could be in a good mood and they could be the best of people. A few hours later, they could be in a bad mood and it's just the worst of people.
All right.
So for me, I mean, a little bit when I was kind of learning, once it comes to wedding photography, you have contracts. I have contracts. So in the contract, it states what it is that you're hiring me for, the service I'm providing. And I also have some legal issues in there telling you that, hey, you know, X, Y, Z. So before I even take your deposit, you have to read through to make sure we're on the same page.
All right.
So I protect myself and I protect you.
Exactly.
So right away, you know, okay, listen, okay, this is what I've agreed with John and this is what he's going to do. And I mean, we're on the same page.
Okay.
So worst case scenario, even if I don't know, let's say mess up on something, you cannot sue me more than the amount you pay me for the work.
Okay.
That's how I did it.
Okay. Makes sense.
So,
Makes sense. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Good points there. Good points you make. So I know a lot of people. I've had personal friends who have told me, "Man, I need to get into this photography stuff. It looks good. Blah blah blah." You know, what are the expectations? You know, looking from the outside looking in. You know, and what is the reality? Like, what do people see that is really not there, or people don't see behind the scenes? Like, what are some of your inside stories?
Long nights, a lot of data,
Oh, gotcha.
body pains, patience,
Okay,
and a whole lot of tolerance.
gotcha.
Because sometimes, I think the other day I wrote, somebody actually kind of ticked me off. I said, photographers are service providers, just like your cable company, just like your phone companies. You only call when you need a service. When you call, you're not doing us a favor.
Right, right.
Because a lot of times, most people feel like, oh, because I'm paying you however much, they think they'll own you or something, right?
Right.
And sometimes it could be heartbreaking because you could put in so much work and you know what you did, only for the client to be like, this is it. I mean, it's just sometimes the reception. So it's almost like, you know, you have to find a way to separate your feelings, but you can't because we're an artist, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's a lot of work.
Okay,
A lot of work.
okay. It seems you have a lot of passion for it. How do you think this career has shaped your life, or has it done that in any way?
Well, let's see. A lot of money, a lot of work. I mean, it's rewarding if you know what you're doing. I always tell people, we all have our clients, but what are you doing?
All right.
Because a lot of times people feel like, oh, you know, that's my client. No, nobody's your client. They're coming to you because you're providing a service.
All right.
So for me, I would say because of the passion, I've been able to kind of overlook a lot of things. But like I said, it's rewarding, but it's a lot of work. It's not as beautiful as the pictures are. It's a lot of work behind it. So that's all I can say.
Got you. So, on average, you know, you do a lot of you do some portraiture work. You don't just do weddings, but you know, I was just more concerned about the weddings. On average, how much time would you spend on a wedding to finish the editing process?
Man, so well, let's see. So it all depends on the wedding you shot. So for example, if somebody invests a lot into the wedding, meaning they have like the lights and the flooring and all these good things I mean, the main thing for us is lighting, right? So for example, if the reception, everything was perfect, it makes it easy. If let's say the getting ready, everything was perfect, it makes it easy. But it all goes back to how the actual wedding was, and then depending on your shooting style. So on average, let's say give and take, let's say if I have nothing else to do and I get home, I back up the files. So you can use, let's say 3 days straight. I'm talking about straight as in nothing else. Or it may be a whole week to edit a whole wedding, right?
Okay.
But of course you have your life, you have other things going on, so it might take a little longer. But if you were to sit without any disturbances or whatever, talking about going to work like 8 hours a day, you might be able to use give and take a week or less to finish a whole wedding. But it all depends on, how the wedding was shot.
Interesting. So you personally, what inspires you to keep going on, and how do you keep up or improve upon yourself?
For me, I think it's, let's see. I think I love the smiles on the client's face.
Okay.
Not even calling my friends. So one thing I've always received, people say, "Oh, John is very good. He's very patient." I keep hearing the same thing. "Oh, he's very patient. He knows what he's doing. He made me smile." So hearing clients say those things kind of encourages me all the time.
Okay.
Because there are times I'm like, I'm tired. I'm done. Then somebody would just go write a review. "Oh my goodness, John is the best, and was so patient." And so those kind of things kind of get me. And I was like, you know what, you're doing something good. Just keep going. Okay. So that's what keeps me going. The smile on the client's face and how it makes them feel.
Right.
And years later, they still feel the same way. So,
Right. So how do you improve upon your skills? Get better at what you do.
So I have a personal goal, right? Okay. So like I said, I have 5 people that I look up to in the wedding industry. Okay. And every time when I look at the images, it challenges you to do better. Okay. And of course, it also goes back to the weddings you're shooting. So let's say before, if you started with some simple wedding because maybe the clients say, okay, this guy's just now starting. So you appreciate the work, right? And then it jumps to maybe like a bigger client, somewhere like a bigger venue. And all of a sudden, the pictures look better. So all those little things help you. So you always want to achieve the best. Okay. So you can show up at a wedding and if everything goes well, you do extra because you have a plan, right? So all those things keeps me going. So I'll say I'm always improving upon myself. Okay. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense. So throughout the process, do you wish you did anything differently, or have you just enjoyed the journey till now?
Well, let's see. There's certain things I wished for, but at the same time, I like what I went through. Okay. I always use the word self-thought, meaning nobody held my hands. Okay. I mean, some people have the opportunity whereby they had some of the big boys, taking them around and giving them opportunity at their first wedding. So their first wedding could be like a first-class wedding. Right. I didn't have that. Right. So for me, I've gone through the basics and I've grown through the process. Okay. So for me, I like what I have now. Okay. I wouldn't change anything. Not much, but
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. One big question for the times that we're in: or how do you think the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the business for you?
Honestly, it hasn't really. I mean, for me, it hasn't really affected me. Okay. The only thing I'll say so for example, a lot of people know I do weddings. Okay. A few people know I do portrait. Okay. I started with portrait. Right. So I still have the core portrait clients that regardless of what's going on, they'll come to me, right? Okay. So for me, even right now with COVID, even though I'm having wedding cancellations or what have you, I'm actually shooting more. Okay. So obviously before I used to have a simple studio, but the demand went so high, I have to make some implementations, some changes. Okay. So as of now, even I was telling my wife, when I actually look at my schedule, I've done a lot portrait this year. Okay. So I guess you could say I went back to my first love, right? Okay. So even like today, for example, I did 3 sessions. Okay. Yesterday I did 4. Okay. The week before I did 6, because now people doing Christmas portrait, but I'm still doing, because I still do products. Okay. I still do regular portrait shots. Okay. I still do other things, but all things photography in general, it hasn't slowed down. I mean, COVID has only affected, quote unquote, weddings somewhat. Okay. But in terms of photography in general,
okay. Okay. So focusing on weddings, it has kind of impacted, slowed down things. Yeah. I got you. Okay. I think we are coming to the end of this very interesting insight into wedding photography and from your perspective. Mm-hmm. Also, the last thing I might want to ask you is, what would you say, or would you have any advice for a youngster or perhaps an adult, who is trying to pick up on photography, who wants to get into wedding? Because I think a lot of people look at it and see, the beauty of how it was, even how their own personal wedding went, and how the pictures were delivered, and I think they're inspired to also get into the business. What would you tell them?
Let's see. Well, first I'll say it goes back to passion, right? If you're not passionate about seeing people happy, forget about it. Okay. Because the reward in wedding photography is how your clients react when they get the wedding. how happy they are, how they're able to go back and relive those moments. Because there are times like, oh, I didn't know this happened. Oh my goodness. Oh, I mean, most of the reviews like, oh, John, thank you so much because I didn't even see this happening, or how you compose. It's a whole lot. It's not as simple as just taking the picture.
Right.
So I tell people the reward is not so much about the money. I mean, don't get me wrong, the money is great. It's a lot of work.
Right.
So you have to be willing to put yourself, your feelings to the side, and just to see people happy.
Okay.
And for me, the wedding industry is $1 billion industry. That's a lot. I mean, there's money for everybody. But you have to be passionate. You have to be disciplined.
Right.
I mean, I think discipline is like the second thing. A lot of times people don't know. I mean, you're dealing with files.
Right.
I mean, digital files, all kinds of stuff. And then honestly, just go with the flow. But I think all in all, it's an industry that if you are happy about people who make happy, you can join.
Okay.
But it's a lot of work. It's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I know I said that was the final question, but as you speak, different things come to mind. You know, people see what you do. They see how you do it. Is it? Because I know that I did some work just like you. I did some photography in the beginning before I transitioned into video. I had people I was trying to reach out for people to help me, take me here, take me there. Do you take people in to kind of help people, guide them, go through the process? Is it something, do you kind of intern people? Do you help, so if somebody wants to learn, they can reach out to you, stuff like that?
So I have technically trained, I'll say one person, which is Anna. Most people come to me looking to intern, but for me, I'm kind of like a one person, like a one-stop shop person. So this is my style. So I have two friends that I kind of like work with most of the time. So many a times when I have a wedding, they'll help me out, right? So I'm kind of used to that style. Now, it's when somebody comes to me, oh, John, I want X, Y, Z, I will tell you what I know. I will give you everything I know, but it's still up to you to kind of like, do it. So I've taken a few people on the job training type stuff whereby, okay, I just come on, see what it looks like, see what it feels like, and then let me know. And for me, I think it all depends on the how do I call it, the person, the attitude, right? So some people will come to you, they think it's all glory, they think it's all glamorous. Then they realize, oh my goodness, it's too much work, man, I can't do this. And they just kind of go away slowly. And there are those who will occasionally just drop in just because they want to get some experience. So for me, the whole internship thing is a little bit, it's kind of like how do I call it? I've had the opportunity, but I just haven't done it. Just because I'm busy myself, super busy. And I feel like if anybody will come and quote unquote intern, it's more about, if I don't feel like you're a right fit, I'll give you what I have, I'll teach you what I know, but it's hopefully next year I can intern, but my style and my system is such a way that it doesn't, it can be flexible, but I choose not to. Just because the minute I move away from it, it's going to change who I am, and it will mess up my system. Yeah.
Thank you very much for speaking with us, and good luck on this journey. Hopefully business gets better and everything goes as you wish.
Corona goes away. I know, right? Yeah. Thanks for having me. Hopefully what I said or what I have will help somebody. But at the end of the day, it's a rewarding industry, but it's a lot of work.
Gotcha.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.